Carl and Dan here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it is track by track time. As making their debut on this series, it is Trophy Eyes with the album Suicide and Sunshine, released June 23rd, 2023 via Hopeless Records. Of course, Trophy Eyes, if you're not too familiar, I guess they sit in a punk world, a punk rock kind of thing. But, you know, alternative rock, however you want to categorize it, it all slides into that section there. And this is their fourth album, designed around contrast, about light and dark, beauty and tragedy, and the full spectrum of life, but told through the eyes of frontman John Floreani. That is the story here, so to speak. If you want to call it a concept, so to speak, it is that to a degree. And that's what we get. And I know Trophy Eyes, but I've never really listened to a full album until this one. And I had a thoroughly great time with it. Going back to when I first heard it and reviewed it for the site, to coming back to it for the track by track. Yeah, I like this album a lot.
Yeah, I've got I listened to it, yeah, because it came through on the email. You did the review of it, and I went, oh, I like Trophy Eyes. I'll give that a listen. And I got stuck on it, and I couldn't put it off for the next week. And I didn't expect it all because, like you, I listened to a couple of Trophy Eyes songs. I liked a couple tracks, but I had never really listened to one of their albums. Yeah, and I came to this, and I was like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. We both came away thoroughly impressed. And there are a fair few tracks, but not a long album. So we're diving with Sydney. And I wanted to start by saying, listen, obviously, you know, this is told through the eyes of the front man, but how this album is interpreted and how it relates to individual life will be different. And I think personal for everyone, you're going to get different things from it. But I do think the one thing we all have in common, and that's ultimately quite important about this album, is the human experience. We're all human beings in some way or another. We all go through a lot of the same problems, the same issues and things like that. And I think that's really, really important. But alongside that is the ability to enjoy Trophy Eyes, who I think are at their most authentic and anthemic here, as they kick all kinds of ass with this opener. It's passionate and eager. It is a banger, and it's 59 seconds long.
Yeah. It immediately grabs your attention. It's like, no, fuck you. We are Trophy Eyes. This is what we're doing. Listen.
Yeah. 59 seconds. Incredible impression to leave. Life in Slow Motion. This one, though, baby, I love this one. A phenomenal track that I find quite moving too. The melodic reflection really pays off. And this was the bar setter for me. I was like, right, this is my favorite track. Now you got to top this.
Everything is temporary.
Yeah, it's fucking great. It's so catchy. It has that big build up from Sydney. It transitions perfectly. It samples the melody from Sydney to put it into this one, so it's like a seamless thing. So you get that rising build of Sydney, and then it pays off in this song.
It does. It really does. People Like You. I like the experimental combination of intensity and pop punk on this track. It feels quite fresh and is undeniably infectious.
Yeah, this is the one I got stuck on. I genuinely could not put it off for a week, and I probably still play it 10 times a day now. Whatever they put in this fucking song is cracked my brain. I cannot turn it off. It is so frustratingly catchy.
It is.
To the point where I wish they hadn't, because I'll listen to other songs and I'm like, yeah, but it's not People Like You by Trophy Eyes.
That's the bar set of 4 tracks this year, eh? Bloody hell.
Yeah.
All right, My Inheritance. A comforting example of melodrama. And I think this is an area that Trophy Eyes do really bloody well. So this one works nicely for me. You know, I enjoy this aspect of Trophy Eyes.
Yeah, this is another great one. It comes down a bit from People Like You, the energetic thing, but I love how the lyrics flow. Especially in that chorus, it's like the words are placed quite strangely, but it fits very well for the song.
Okay. Blue Eyed Boy. stupidly infectious. Get used to us hearing the word catchy and infectious constantly through this, but this is the power of Trophy Eyes, honesty and relatability. And because I didn't really know the band pre-listen to this, I admit, you know, I'm like 6 tracks in and still like, this is really good. When's it going to get bad? Or when's it going to get like, not necessarily bad, when's it going to get like, oh, that's just on the right track? I haven't found it yet, and I love Blue Eyed Boys. Boy.
Yeah. I can say the same. Somebody who didn't really listen to them, I was like, oh, when's it maybe am I not going to be as interested? But it just keeps going. It's great. This is classic Trophy Eyes. I feel like if you know their sound at all, it's got those elements of punk, but there's elements of the pop punk side coming through in full force. And that mesh is done very well.
Runaway Come Home. Guess what? This one gets stuck in the head too. The touches of drama, the mellow melody, the uptick of power in the vocals, and the crashing poppy rock of it all. Again, just start. I'd start humming these tracks in my bloody head.
Just start listening to Trophy Eyes. Stick this album on. Just start listening to them. You'll get what we're saying.
This is the one, yeah.
Like, they're great.
Okay, Burden. 54 seconds of touching ambience and relaxed melodies. It's still very nice. I'm more than happy to have a little bit of a calm down if you want here.
Yeah, this sets up the next track very well. I feel that's what it's there for, right? Yeah.
It's that. Yeah, it is that. You kind of need a little bit, a chance to take your breath, because up next is a track called Sean. And immediately, like I was like, oh, this is passing the 5-minute mark. That's unusual for this album. But from that, you're clearly like, all right, well, Trophy Eyes will have more to say here, and it works. There is so much honesty in this track. It is downright emotional. I love the lyrics and how they're sung. I love the morose guitar melody. I love the increasing passion, how it gets more and more intense as it goes on. There's an argument to say, well, I wouldn't necessarily say this is my favorite track in the album. I think it might be the best, most well-written track.
It is. Sean is very upsetting. Obviously, it's about this tribute to the bassist of I Killed the Prom Queen and These Nuts, who killed himself in February of 2021. And you've got like certain lines, like, because the last thing I said when you were still around was, you do this for attention. And it's so honest, because to admit to saying something like that, it's a horrible fucking thing to say, right? But to admit to it and be like, no, I did say that, and I feel like
and it would have been
for it.
Yeah, and it would have been said out of frustration and pain and hurt and stuff like that. But my God, of course. And as you're right, to admit to that is, it takes a certain type of person to be able to admit that.
Yeah, and this entire song, you feel that in full force. You feel the regret, you feel the upset, and you get stuck on it. You're like, fuck, putting that right in the middle of the album as well. It's like, shit. So it's like the arrest, because you've got the suicide and sunshine part, right? You've got songs like People Like You that sound happy and upbeat, but then you've got this.
And it kind of makes Sean a hard one to go back to. I don't know if you found this as well, is that depending upon where I'm at mentally at the time, I sometimes find myself skipping Sean, purely just because, not because I dislike the song, purely because I don't want the feel.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to be like, yeah, I'm not trying to upset myself right now.
It's that. Okay, what hurts the most? Again, a very catchy track that comes across impressively authentic. At this point, like, I'm 100% on the enrichment of this record. I think it enriches the mind, body, and soul. And this is just another track that adds more weight to that.
Yeah. It's catchy. It feels like almost they were trying to strip themselves back a little bit so you could still feel the last track. You know, it's not that full force. It's catchy shit, obviously, as a theme that's come up. It's Trophy Eyes. It's fucking great. Listen to them. Oh my God.
Okay, then I'm interested what you think of OMW. It's a fun surprise for me to get something that I would call more basic when it comes to punk rock. Even if Trophy Eyes still mess with the formula to create something that is recognizably them. However, if I'm honest, this is one of the more forgettable tracks on the album. I still think it's a good track, but it's not one that stood out for me compared to the rest. The bar was so high.
I am going to agree with you here because I'm not a massive fan of On My Way. It's probably the only track on the album that I'm not fond on. But I remember reading about like meetings and stuff, and this one came up as like they wanted to make a song that regressed more into the punk roots of Trophy Eyes, and I can see that. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
It's good though. It's not bad, but yeah.
No, I agree. And then we get Killed. And I wrote Burned Out, not a chance. Still not burned out by this album. And here we get a strong and heartfelt punk rock tune that is as catchy as everything that came before. I was pleased to have this track kind of bring me back to, cool. Not because after OMB, I was like, oh God, is that it now? Is that where it starts to go a little downhill? But it's back up.
Yeah, I fully agree. Yeah, it's great. It stands out as like a slower track for them, which you kind of need sometimes of a whole album of upbeat. Yeah.
Then we get Sweet Soft Sound. And I haven't written much. All I've said is it's an apt title. It is very sweet sounding.
I see the meaning of life in your eyes. It's like swimming in the ocean at night. And when I'm with you, it's like I'm on fire. Nothing is real outside myself and your smile lines.
It's nice. It's lovely.
Yeah.
It is sweet, soft sound. Yeah.
It is nice. Penultimate track, Stay Here. The entire album, obviously, I hope you'll get it from what we're saying, is very accessible. But this might be the most accessible track of all. I think I could play this to just about anyone and they would like this track. I'm not the biggest fan of it personally. I find it a bit ho-hum, but I really struggle to even say that because I don't want to say anything bad about this record. I don't want to say anything bad about this music where, it's like, okay, this track wasn't one of my favorite. That's about as negative as I'm going to be.
Yeah, I get you. No, I love this track. It's fucking catchy as shit, and I love that chorus, and I love how big it is. I think this one could pop off live.
And then we get Epilogue. Look, it's wonderful. It puts a wry smile on my face. The lyrics, I love them.
Yeah, it's great. It makes sense for this album. It's literally called Epilogue. It is meant to be a overlook of everything, the 50 odd minutes that you've just listened to. It's great.
Yeah. It's a solid way to close out the album on a very, very solid album overall. As always, 3 tracks, 3 recommended tracks, and I will take mine away. So I would suggest you listen to Life in Slow Motion, Blue-Eyed Boy, and Sean. I do say you do, Sean.
Yeah, we have 2 of the same. I've got Blue-Eyed Boy, Sean, and People Like You.
Yeah. Again, People Like You could have. Yeah, a lot of them, most of them, if we're honest. It's that kind of album again. Suicide and Sunshine by Trophy Eyes. That's our thoughts on it. What's yours? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.